What's up, everybody? Tyson Roush. Let's talk Jets. Hope everybody's having an excellent week. It's been a long one, man, and there's all these off-the-field news for the Jets. It kind of makes you crazy. I was going to do a video last night after I watched the Hackett press conference, but I figure at this point you're just tired of hearing me complain about him. But I just can't. I can't let it go, man. When you hear your offensive coordinator say, I was surprised by Breece Hall catching the ball out of the backfield and his ability as a receiver, and then they ask him, well, when did you realize that? He's like, week 8 versus the Giants? You're like, what? Like, you got to adjust on the fly. Now, I understand they expected Breece Hall to come out slow based off his injury, but he even showed last year he can catch the ball. Like, your goal as an offensive coordinator is to feed your playmakers as much as possible and as many different ways as possible. And that has been our biggest complaint all season long. Get Garrett Wilson the ball more. Get Ruckert the ball more before he got hurt. Feed Breece. Even when they had Dalvin Cook, they weren't even using him right or whatever else. So to hear him talk, it just, you're like, is this offense really in good hands going forward, even with the Hall of Fame quarterback running it? Because literally, at this point, you almost want Aaron Rodgers to audible every play because you have no faith in Hackett. Then when they ask him about the pre-snap penalties, he's like, well, sometimes it's cadence, sometimes it's a snap count, it's this, it's communication. Dude, it's week 17. Like, at some point, you have to hold yourself responsible. Like, week 4, week 5, this is a problem. And you streamline it and make it easier. And I'll keep saying this. Teams all across the NFL had offensive line injuries and backup quarterbacks playing. The Jets lead the league in penalties. That's a coaching issue. And they keep just putting it under the rug. Like, yeah, no big deal. It is a big deal. Like, there's got to be some kind of accountability. But this team is way too comfortable losing and justifying it. So, whatever. So, the whole Dalvin Cook going to the Ravens, not surprised there. The Roger Saffold thing's a complete joke now. It's just whatever. But now you have Jets-Patriots on Sunday, and we get a lot of questions. What are you rooting for? And I understand both sides of it, man. And the one thing that gets brought up first is the streak. The Jets have lost, 15 in a row to the Patriots. For me to beat the streak in a meaningless game kind of takes away from it. You want to beat Belichick with Aaron Rodgers. You wanted to beat Belichick at home earlier in the season when the game actually mattered. When the Jets lost that game earlier in the season, you knew it was a bad sign because division loss, conference loss, they weren't a good team. You're like, you got to win games like this to stay relevant and stay in the mix. So to beat the streak this way, beating Zappy, I don't know, man. I get it. I guess you could say, going forward, it's over with. Doesn't really do anything for me. Give Belichick his last loss to the Patriot head coach, I mean, that's great. But I mean, Belichick's won how many Super Bowls? Is this last loss going to really sting him, or is he going to be happy he kicked our ass for a decade, right? And I also think this isn't his last game as a head coach. So it's not like the Jets are beating him. He retires, and the rest of his life, he's like, oh, my last game I lost to the Jets. I'm sure he's going to go somewhere else. So there's that kind of takes away from him as well. If you beat the Patriots, you're giving them better draft position and probably give them a chance to get the quarterback they need. That's a negative, right? Also, so now you spin it around. So what happens if the Jets lose? Well, the Jets lose. The wishful thinking is the Jets lose by 30 and Saleh gets fired. That's not going to happen. The Jets they're kind of comfortable bringing everybody back. And so a bad loss can be a bad loss. We'll yell, we'll complain, we'll scream for change. It's not going to happen. Doesn't really change anything there. But a bad loss, what that does give you, it gives you draft position, where a lot of people are like, draft position, I don't trust Joe Douglas. Listen, he's a general manager. But all I know is I'd rather have a top 6, top 8 pick than a top 12 pick for a lot of reasons. First and foremost, we don't have a second-round pick. Secondly, you need to get the best offensive line you can in the spot that you're in, and there are legitimate concerns that top 2 offensive tackles are gone, and then what are you going to do? You could say, hey, you can go receiver, which I understand, but this offseason, the primary focus has got to be get this offensive line solidified. Something Joe Douglas hasn't done in 4 years, but he's got to do it this year. So having that higher draft pick can help you get that. If not, it's a trade asset to trade down and get more picks. I'll set that second-round pick, and so I can see both sides of this. For me personally, this game means absolutely nothing to me. I'm over this season. It's a meaningless game. Win, lose, I really don't care. Obviously, losing to the Patriots is annoying, but I'm kind of resigned to the fact where nothing's going to change. Like, it's just, we watching it blown out by the Dolphins. The team doesn't care. They get embarrassed by the Browns. Nobody cares. Like, they're just like, dude, it's going to be okay. Trust the process. We should sell more of those shirts, right? And we're all moving on. So for me, it's about lose the game, get the draft pick, and see what happens, and move on. The question I have is this Bryce Huff's last game, which would be quite unfortunate if it is. And then you see, hopefully he plays, man, or do they give Will McDonald more snaps? But other than that, I'm not going to give a score prediction. We're going to watch it. We'll stream it. We'll have a good time with it. And that's kind of it. We all move on and just see how the rest of the offseason plays out. Well, this is, and it's a funny thing is every year we say this is a really big offseason for the Jets. Based on how they're handling themselves with this all-in year on Rodgers and bringing back this staff, this offseason is going to be incredibly important because you have your short-term goal of having a team that can play next year, but you got to keep an eye on the future too. And you want the Jets are going to do that, or if they're really going to sell their souls in terms of cap space and draft allocation to just winning this over the next year. So thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you want to share your score predictions, great. If you don't, I completely understand. And that's it. Thank God this season's over, man. We can watch some good quality football. Playoffs coming up and everything else. I'll talk to you guys later.